Unpaid meetings? Not on my time. I used to work at this tiny call center that was basically a glorified cubicle farm. It was the kind of place where you didn't need experience, just a tolerance for holding in screams while people yelled at you about their billing statements. The job was soul-sucking, but simple. Answer calls, log your time, go home. But our manager, let's call him Kyle, had this twisted idea that unpaid overtime was just part of being a team player. Every day, our shift ended at 4:55 p.m. sharp. We'd log off our systems, close out the call software, and just when you thought you could leave, Kyle would cheerfully say, "All right, guys, meeting room in 2 minutes." These weren't quick chats. It was a daily ritual, 20 minutes minimum, sometimes 30. Kyle would ramble about metrics, client feedback, random script changes, and that day's motivational quote like he was running a TED Talk. We all just sat there staring at our watches, slowly dying inside. When I first started, I was the rookie on a 10-person team. Everyone else had been there for at least a year. I figured this was just how things work. First day, I followed the crowd, logged off, shuffled into the conference room, and watched the clock tick past 5 p.m. while Kyle talked about synergy. But then, my first paycheck came. 80 hours exactly. Not one extra minute for those after-hours meetings. I thought it was a clerical mistake. I asked Trevor, the guy in the next cubicle. He laughed like I'd just told a joke. "Oh no, man. We don't get paid for those. You serious?" "Dead serious. We all just do it because Kyle expects it. No one wants to rock the boat. I checked with others." Same response. No one liked it, but no one said anything. That irritated the hell out of me. Not just because it was 20 minutes a day, but because we had to be there. It wasn't optional. That's 10 meetings a week, nearly 2 hours. That's like $80 of my time every pay period, just gone. So I waited, stayed quiet for the first week, observed, made sure I wasn't imagining it. Then one Thursday, right as Kyle started his usual spiel about Team KPIS, I looked at the clock. It was 5 p.m. exactly. I stood up, grabbed my water bottle and backpack, and said, "Sorry, I have to be somewhere important." The room went silent. 9 people froze mid-blink. Kyle stopped talking mid-sentence. He looked confused. Okay. And that was it. I walked out, badged out at the front desk, and drove home, heart pounding like I'd just robbed a bank. I fully expected a passive-aggressive email the next morning, maybe even a write-up, but the next day, nothing. Not a word. Shift ended. We logged off. Meeting started. I stayed in my chair until 5 p.m., stood up, and walked out again. I did the same thing the next day, and the next. About a week later, Kyle pulled me aside before my shift. "Hey, just curious, what's this important thing you have to get to every day?" I looked him right in the eye and said, "It's personal." That was it. No explanation. He nodded and didn't push it. I think he knew if he kept digging, it'd turn into a bigger issue, like why we weren't being paid for required meetings. That's when things started to shift. The next day, Trevor stood up right behind me and left at 5 o'clock. The day after, Brianna joined, then Marcus. Within 2 weeks, it was a domino effect. One by one, the whole team started walking out at exactly 5 o'clock. Kyle would still start his meetings like usual, but now people were getting up mid-sentence and leaving. At first, he tried to play it cool, acting like it didn't bother him, but you could see it. The twitch in his jaw, the fake smile fading a little more each day. Then, like magic, we all got an email. Subject: updated team meeting time. To better align with your schedules, our daily team sync will now be held at 4:40 p.m., allowing us to wrap up by 5 sharp. Translation: fine, I'll pay you if I have to. Now that we were on the clock, people actually started asking questions during the meetings. Kyle had to answer stuff. The meetings got shorter, more focused, almost useful. That afternoon, Trevor leaned over and said, "Dude, you're a legend." All it took was one person to walk out. A few others thanked me too. I didn't really know what to say. I hadn't done it to be brave. I just didn't want to sit through another unpaid pep talk about customer empathy. The meetings still happened, but they weren't stealing our time anymore. All because one day, I got up and left.